In this training we will discuss what is a job safety analysis and how is it conducted. This training will also identify the steps for completing a JSA, discusses the importance of the analysis in preventing injuries, and finally, review when to perform and implement an effective job safety analysis. A job safety analysis, or JSA, is a technique that focuses on job tasks as a way to identify hazards before an accident occurs. It focuses on the relationship between the worker, the task, the tools, and the work environment. After the hazards have been identified, steps are implemented to eliminate or reduce the identified hazard to an acceptable level of risk. When documenting the process, a job safety analysis form is generally used. The form lists the steps in the process, the potential hazards, and the hazard controls that will be implemented. Conducting a safety analysis is important because it aids in accident and injury prevention. When the right steps are taken, hazards can be mitigated. Additionally, a JSA helps to provide a safe and healthy working environment and improves efficiency by identifying ways for employees to perform their jobs safely. Next, we will review the process for conducting a job safety analysis. As mentioned before, JSA aims to identify potential hazards and take necessary precautions to avoid accidents and injuries. When conducting a JSA, the following steps or sequence is generally followed. The first step involves selecting the job task to be analyzed. Generally, all work performed should go through an analysis to identify hazards so preventative measures can be implemented. Some factors to consider when conducting a JSA includes accident frequency and which jobs can cause debilitating injuries to workers. Are new tasks established, or was new equipment provided in the workplace? When changes occur in the work environment, hazards may not be evident or anticipated. What tasks are infrequently performed? Workers are at greater risk when performing non-routine jobs. Analyzing and reviewing those tasks can identify hidden hazards. After selecting a job, the next activity in the process is breaking down the task into steps. At this stage, it is essential to include a group of experienced team members to complete the analysis through discussion. This is a best practice because the more workers are involved in the process, the more likely they will be to accept the procedure. When identifying the steps, it is important not to make each step too specific and, at the same time, not too general. Once the task is broken down, identify the potential hazards. To do this, observe the workers performing the job. This process can identify hidden hazards that would not otherwise be visible. When listing the hazards, take into consideration job observations and previous injuries. Then, list the things that could go wrong at each step. For example, can a body part get caught between objects? Can an individual slip, trip or fall when performing the action? Or can a sprain or strain injury occur while performing the step? The main objective is to identify any possible hazards. The final stage in a JSA is to determine ways to eliminate or control the identified hazards. This is done by following the hierarchy of controls. The possible actions to treat the potential hazard include elimination of the hazard, substitution with a safer alternative, use engineering controls to isolate workers from hazards, use administrative controls to modify how workers operate, or use PPE to protect workers from hazards. When applying a safety measure to mitigate the potential hazard, don't use general statements such as, "be careful," or, "use caution." List specific statements that instruct the employee what action should be taken and how it is to be performed. For example, if the hazard involves grinding materials, the safety measure should state specifically, "wear a face shield." When the analysis has been completed, the JSA must be implemented by training all affected workers on the safety measures in place to prevent an injury. A copy should be posted close to the work area so it can be reviewed. The JSA should also be reviewed and updated when the hazard controls are ineffective or when changes occur in the workplace that could create a hazard to workers. By identifying potential hazards and assessing risks, you can take the necessary precautions to avoid accidents and injuries, and help create a safe and healthy working environment.
Did you know that in 2020, a study conducted by the Associated Builders and Contractors found that daily safety toolbox talks lead to a remarkable 82% reduction in total recordable incident rates compared to those conducted monthly? The study shows that the frequency of toolbox talks directly correlates with incident rates. Consistent safety toolbox talks lead to less accidents, which is why many companies this year are using Safely EO to create and schedule these talks weeks and months in advance, so your team will be consistently reminded of the job hazards and safety protocols. You get access to Safely EO's Toolbox Talk library that comes with hundreds of text-based and video-based toolbox talks that covers any industry. The Toolbox Talk app makes it easy for your employees and supervisors to consume safety talks from their own mobile devices and acknowledge its completion at the click of a button. All completed safety talks are tracked, and the data can be exported and available for use. The platform digitizes your safety talks process, so you can focus on what really matters, keeping your team safe and informed. Don't wait until it's too late. Workplace incidents can cost your company millions in liability, lost productivity, and damaged reputation. To learn more, just click the link in the description of this video to request a quick demo.